Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome back to another episode of UNC Hoops Talk podcast. It is about as exciting time to be a Tar Heel as there is. We got some big time stuff. Of course, I'm going to talk and kind of mainly why I'm here is to talk about the NCAA investigation and the academic scandal that UNC has been enduring for the last 7 years or so. So we're going to hit a lot on that. We're going to recap Late Night with Roy, unveiling of the banner, all that good stuff. We're going to get into that. Talk a little bit about the FBI investigation. Let you know what award Roy Williams has won now. What's coming up for the Tar Heels basketball team. Any news that we got going on, we're going to hit it here in this episode. So I'm so glad that you're here joining me. I appreciate the support. Again, I've said this last couple of podcasts, but the numbers for the podcast recently have just been crazy. I don't even know what's going on, but I appreciate it. If you haven't checked out the last podcast, the interview with David Noel, I thought that went really well. So check that out. But most importantly, if you don't do anything else, what you should do is submit your predictions. I said my next podcast was going to be the predictions podcast, but then we had the whole unveiling of the non-penalties, I guess, from the NCAA. A little spoiler alert there, but so I had to hit on that. But the next podcast I do next week probably will be the predictions podcast. So if you have not, either email me, unchoopstalk@gmail.com, or DM me on Twitter or Instagram. They're both all Tar Heel Dan. Give me your prediction, your record for the regular season or for the season as a whole for the Tar Heel basketball team. Let me know how far they're going to go in the ACC tournament, how far they're going in the NCAA tournament. Let me know all that. I'm going to give mine, of course, in the next podcast, and I'll read off everybody that's submitted theirs. And, of course, we'll keep track to see how it goes towards the end of the season. So either unchoopstalk@gmail.com or all Tar Heel Dan on Twitter or Instagram. So make sure you're submitting your predictions for Tar Heel basketball season. But let's jump in here. Like I said, a lot of it's going to be about the ruling. The NCAA ruling came out on October 13, which ended up being Friday the 13th, which shouldn't have been a good sign, but it actually came out really well. The NCAA rules that they cannot they can't punish North Carolina. There will be no fines, no lost scholarships, no games forfeited, no banners coming down. All the stuff that state fans and really college basketball fans as a whole had predicted and wanted so badly just isn't going to happen. They can't punish it. And just like Jay Billis has been saying, just like a lot of Carolina fans have been saying, I have said it, it wasn't an athletic scandal. This wasn't a college this wasn't a basketball scandal, it was a football scandal. This was an academic scandal, which is outside of the NCAA's ruling. They can't rule on that stuff. They have no jurisdiction there. So all those years we spent, all that money that was spent, not wasted, but because we got, people are saying we got away with it. We didn't get away with anything. Here's the thing. Like I said, it's an academic scandal. Back in like 2012, like 5 years ago, we were punished academically. North Carolina, I shouldn't say we, I don't go to the school. I didn't go to school. I'm not an alum, but North Carolina as a university was put on probation for academics. They admitted that the classes that everybody's been talking about, these paper classes, weren't up to the standards of the university, of college education, all that stuff. And so the accreditation committee or organization or whatever they are put us on probation for a year. Now, if you want to say that was not harsh enough, that we should have put and punished more for all the years that those classes have been going on, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. But to say it's an athletic scandal, a basketball scandal, and that we should, bring down banners, we should forfeit championships, forfeit games, lose scholarships, all that, it's just not true. Like it's come out, like it came out a long time ago, There was regular students in those classes. Anybody could take them. And here's the thing: if you've gone to college, you know which, or at least you knew you could find out which classes were the easy ones. I took easy classes. I specifically went to classes with certain professors because it was easier than taking the exact same class with a different professor. I took independent studies. I took racquetball as a class. You know how easy that was to get an A in that class and boost my GPA or whatever. I also took an independent study. I took one of my major, and I say this as it's part of my major, not one of my major classes, and it was like the most important class, but one of the classes for my major was an independent study because it wasn't offered in my last semester of college, and I needed to take it. I didn't want to come back the next semester for this one class, and so I got it approved to take an independent study. All I didn't even read the book, but I met with the professor like once a week, once every couple of weeks, whenever it kind of worked for us. We talked about a couple of things. I think I took some tests in there. I had to do some worksheets, which I just used the book, and it was really, it was so easy of a class. But it was an independent study. I did exactly what the professor said I had to do, and that's what these students did. Now, was it too easy of a class, or and was it graded by a secretary? Apparently so. And again, that's an academic thing. It's not an athletic thing. So we are vindicated, I guess. Hopefully that's the right word, in that there's no punishment to our basketball team. And I don't think we have to be like, nah, we got away with anything. We didn't get away with anything. We were punished back in 2012 academically. Again, maybe not harsh enough. I wouldn't disagree with you there, I don't think. We probably could have been punished a little bit more, but we had to change stuff, and we did. It's not like it's still going on and we're just saying, oh, whatever, we're going to keep offering these classes and don't care what you say. But we were punished, and that's the key. That's what it comes down to. But it was an academic scandal, not an athletic scandal. So a lot of people are saying North Carolina ruined their reputation as an academic school by doing this, because really what we had to do is we couldn't come in front of the NCAA and say there was academic fraud, because then they could have punished us. What North Carolina did is they said, yes, these classes are not up to our standard. We're fixing them. We're getting rid of them, changing them and raising the standards of those classes. It's not just going to be write a couple papers, the secretary grades them, and maybe she reads them, maybe she doesn't. So that's already been changed, but it wasn't fraud. It wasn't like those classes didn't exist and the students didn't do any work. Now, they probably didn't do enough work, whatever, again, but that's been changed like 3-5 years ago. But people are saying, oh, they had to ruin their reputation as a university, as a school, as an academia in order to avoid punishment for the basketball team. I don't think that's really true. Again, I don't go to the university. I didn't go to the university. My investment is in the basketball team, maybe a little bit more in the athletic department. I really don't have investment in the academics of North Carolina. So I know some of you listening are probably different from me in that, but I don't think they really ruined the reputation. I mean, this year they were still ranked in the top 30 of universities of higher education in the United States. I don't think students that have graduated from North Carolina or that are going there are all of a sudden saying, oh, my diploma is not worth as much. Like, oh, this isn't as, and I don't think employers either are going to be, oh, you went to North Carolina, you must not have gone to class, you didn't do any work. This isn't worth as much as somebody that went to, wherever, NC State. I just don't think that's going to happen, and so I don't think we ruin it now. So there's going to be people bringing this up, on the broadcast of basketball games, on Twitter and forums, all that stuff. They're going to bring it up and say, "Oh, you went to Carolina, you don't go to class," all that stuff. They're never going to stop saying that. It's going to tarnish us in that way. We're always going to have to hear about it. But again, I don't think employers, I don't think people that are going to North Carolina or went to North Carolina all of a sudden saying, "Oh, my diploma is worth less," or I didn't learn as much because I went there and because this happened. It's just not true. It's still a great academic school. I don't think it's going to be tarnished there. That's my 2 cents. Now, the other thing is people are saying, since this is over, are we going to go after all the one and dones? Are we going to change what our program looks like? Are we going to start looking like Duke and Kentucky and, all those places? Roy just had his press conference yesterday, or media day, I guess it wasn't. And all the players too were talking. They specifically asked us. And as he's been saying all along, he'd been going after those one and dones. He went after Brandon Ingram. He went after Harry Giles. He went after, Kevin Knox this year at Kentucky. I mean, all those guys that went Kentucky to Duke, he was going after them. They wouldn't come because of the scandal. Now, he did say, I would like to get, one or two one and dones, or, of the top guys. He didn't necessarily call them one and dones, I don't think. But he wants the top guys, the talent. What he did say is he doesn't want 5 one and dones in a year like Kentucky does every year. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, we got Nasir Little, probably fringe one and done guy. Probably possibly could do it. Depends how the year goes. And that's going to be the thing too, is when some of these top guys come to North Carolina, there's always that complaint about Roy doesn't play the freshman enough to shine to be a one and done. Obviously, we've had Marvin Williams, we've had Brandon Wright, we've had Tony Bradley that did do the one and done stuff, but they weren't the top guys. They weren't lottery picks. Well, I shouldn't say that. Marvin Williams obviously was number 2 pick overall. I believe Brandon Wright was even in the lottery. But if they put up the stats, obviously we're going to get more of those types of guys coming, especially as this whole FBI stuff comes out. If he doesn't play them much, or if they don't produce, some of those guys are going to probably find somewhere else to go because they want to produce, put up the numbers, and be a one and done in the top 5 pick or whatever. So, but he did say he doesn't want 5 of those guys every year. So if those guys produce at North Carolina and they all start wanting to come here because they know Roy isn't going to get in trouble with this whole FBI stuff, it'll be interesting how Roy chooses or picks, or how many of those guys he actually takes every year. So I think that will be interesting, and we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But he did say he doesn't want 5 one and dones every year and have to reload like Duke and Kentucky have been doing. So we'll keep an eye on that. See how that changes North Carolina as this whole thing passes over us. I guess next we'll go to Late Night with Roy. What an amazing night that was. I've kind of went back on having Late Night with Roy as one of my bucket list items. It used to be so much better when it was the first practice and it was the first time they were playing together as a team outside of pickup ball and stuff like that. I thought it was a lot cooler then. The way they do it now, we get out leaked videos on YouTube and stuff. You've kind of seen these guys play. The recruits and the freshmen are just so much more known that it's not as cool to see the late, the scrimmage. And plus the scrimmage is so watered down, shortened, all that stuff to preserve their energy, because Roy would rather have them in practice, and also so that nobody gets hurt. All kinds of reasons in that, but I don't think it's as cool. But man, do I wish I would have been at this Late Night with Roy. 2017 Late Night with Roy was, I don't know, it just looked so amazing watching. I mean, I didn't watch on TV. I watched on my iPad on Watch ESPN app, but it just looked, in all the videos, I just wish I would, I could have been at this one. It wasn't going to happen. It's not like I just chose not to. Obviously, I knew the banner was going up, but if I ever do go to a Late Night with Roy, I think it would make sure it was after we win a national championship, which, we never know when that's going to be. It could be this year, could be in 12 years or something. We can't take those for granted. But if we do win a championship, I think maybe the next year after that, I would try to get to a Late Night with Roy to see a banner unveiled, because the whole night was just really special. Obviously, I think the ruling from the NCAA had something to do with that, but just a great atmosphere, amazing. I mean, Kenny Jet Smith did a great job at emceeing. Watching the videos of the season and watching the guys, and maybe you don't see that in person as much, so maybe it was even better on TV. I don't know, but watching the guys react to that video and watching that banner get unveiled, and it just would have been a great atmosphere to be in, and to see that happen. And see Roy vindicated from this whole NCAA thing. would have been amazing. So I think I missed on that. But yeah, Late Night with Roy was great. It was great to watch. As far as takeaways, obviously we're always overreacting when we just watch a 20-minute scrimmage, and like I said, it's watered down because people are trying not to get hurt and things like that. But as far as my takeaways go, guys that stood out, Cam Johnson, he's going to be huge for us this year. I don't think there's going to be any denying that. I think he's going to be an integral part of this team. His jumper just looks smooth. I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. I just feel like he's going to be a big part of this team, and he's going to really fill that gap of Justin. Again, maybe not completely. I don't think it's going to be his job just to fill in for Justin Jackson completely, but I think Cam is going to fit in nicely. We'll see, how the up and down, how he sticks with us, how he does defensively, that kind of stuff. But I think he's going to do just fine. And to see him shoot the ball at Late Night was something else. And I really look forward to that. I thought Jalek Felton looked really good getting to the hole. I think we kind of underestimate how athletic he is. I think we underestimate how good of a player he is. It's been a little while. I mean, obviously, Justin Jackson was the last top 10 guy we got before Nasir Little signed. But he is a 5-star guy. I think the last 5-star guys we got were Justin, Joel. I think Theo was as well. But and then maybe Tony Bradley was he might have been a 4-star. So, Jalek is a 5-star guy. I think he's really going to push for some playing time this year and really contribute as a freshman. I think he's the most ready freshman, even though we know, and I've said in the past podcasts, the bigs are going to probably be the most important freshmen. I think Jalek is probably the most ready out of the freshmen. Somebody on Periscope just asked about B-Rob and 7th as well. And I wasn't as impressed with them at Late Night, but everybody talks about how much they've improved and how B-Rob has bulked up over the summer, how 7th has gotten his confidence back. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. Obviously, we got Kenny Williams coming back from injury, so it just depends how quickly and how comfortable he feels coming back from injury. But we got Joel Berry. Okay, here's my starting 5. I think it's Joel Berry, Theo Pinson, Cam Johnson, Luke May, and then as of right now, and Roy even said at Media Day in his press conference that Garrison Brooks is the most prepared or far along freshman big. So I think he starts. I don't know if he'll start all year, and yeah, maybe Kenny takes Cam's spot if Kenny comes back really good and Roy wants to be loyal to him. But my starting 5 is Joel Berry, Theo Pinson, Cam Johnson, Luke May, and Garrison Brooks. But then obviously we have 7th Woods, Brandon Robinson, Kenny Williams, Jalek Felton, Andrew Platek. A lot of people like how Andrew Platek looked at Late Night. Again, I wasn't as impressed, but I mean, he did put up numbers. He had 6 points, didn't knock down any threes, but yeah, see if he can push. And that's 10 guys right there. That's not even counting our bigs. And we could go 10, 11 deep probably. I don't think Andrew Platek will get as much time. Kind of depends on if he can come in and knock down threes. If he can come in and give us, 5-6 minutes to knock down threes, maybe he can earn a little bit more. But yeah, that's my starting 5. Again, from all accounts, Brandon Robinson is looking a lot better, and I mean, he was knocking down jumpers off the dribble, which is obviously a good thing. If he can defend, if he can, maybe he can make us go small again and play the 4 for us. Get a little more playing time that way. 7th Woods, again, I think 7th will probably be more of the backup for Joel at the 1, whereas Jalek will share more of the time at the 2 with Kenny. Again, Brandon Robinson. Gosh, I'm probably even forgetting somebody else in there. But yeah, we're stacked at the guard, and that's what Roy was saying in his press conference as well, as he's really confident in the backcourt guys and the guards and the wings. Not quite as sure about the bigs, of course. So yeah, that's Late Night with Roy. That was my takes. Of course, we can't forget Joel Berry, Theo Pinson. Theo knocked down a couple of threes. If he can be consistent with his outside shot, that's going to just push us even more to be a more complete team and that much better of a team. So yeah, we don't want to forget about those guys, but obviously everybody likes the shiny new toy, the young guys, the new guys. But seriously, Cam Johnson's jumper looked just smooth as ever. So that'll be fun to watch as we get into it. I'm going pretty long here, and I didn't want this to be a long podcast, so I'm going to try to wrap it up. Well, not wrap it up yet. We still got plenty of stuff to talk about, but go through this stuff a little bit more quickly. If you have questions about it, hit me up on Twitter, AllTarHeelDan, or Instagram at AllTarHeelDan. Or I'd love to get feedback from you in email, questions, or just talking. I'll talk Tar Heel basketball and even college basketball anytime with anyone at any place. So would love to. Someone asked, "What's Darius Day's prediction for tomorrow?" I don't think we get him, but I don't have anything to back that up. I just haven't heard much, and so I don't think we get him. But yeah, this is the podcast to unite Tar Heel Nation. So if you want to talk, have more questions about any of this stuff, definitely hit me up. But we got the FBI investigation over all of college basketball. If you don't follow me on Periscope or Twitter for that matter, I did do a Periscope kind of about this right after it all came. I think it's going to get much bigger. I think a lot of more people will be implicated. I think this is just the kind of the start. We'll just see how long it takes for it all to get going. So Rick Pitino has been fired officially, and so that's done with, or not done with, but it's interesting as it affects ACC basketball, and I'll talk about that more in the predictions podcast next week. But yeah, going from Rick Pitino coaching that Louisville team that's fairly stacked to now a brand new coach doing that and doesn't even have his assistants as they've started practice. So that will be an interesting take on ACC basketball right there. But yeah, and FBI investigation is going to get a lot bigger as more Nike stuff comes out and more Adidas stuff comes out, just to see who gets in serious trouble, who's kind of just lurking in the background, maybe gets a slap on the wrist, that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that more as, of course, the FBI releases it. Of course, NCAA has now made up their committee to kind of go over this stuff. We'll see what the NCAA has to say about it, but really the big stuff is going to be what the FBI can come out, because they're the ones that can prove stuff. They've wiretapped people and had people on the inside and all that stuff. They're the ones that really can nail stuff down. As far as what's coming up for our Tar Heel basketball team, obviously they're still practicing. We have the secret scrimmage, or the so-called secret scrimmage, coming up this Friday, October the 20th, which you can't watch anywhere because can't be any media or anybody watching it. And the following Saturday, October 27th, we have our only expedition against Barton College. It's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. It's TV says ACC Network Extra, which I guess some people get that on TV, which to me it just means we can watch it on the Watch ESPN app. So we will be able to at least watch it. And then our opener is November 10th, so we have to wait a couple more weeks before they actually start counting. But then we have Northern Iowa. But we'll talk about that stuff more, get a preview of the regular season here as we get closer to it. But yeah, that's what's coming up for our Tar Heels. Oh yeah, and the secret scrimmage is with Memphis. I don't remember. I think we were there last time, so maybe they come to our place this year. I'm not sure how that works or where it's going to be, but somebody on Periscope asked about how far I realistically see us going, but of course I'm going to save that for the predictions podcast. And again, remind you to send in your predictions if you haven't. Email them to me or hit me up on Twitter or Instagram in the DM and give me your predictions so that you can be included in that podcast. It's always a fun time of year. Roy Williams was recently honored with another award, which just kind of rubs salt in the wounds of everybody that wanted to see us and him go down with this whole NCAA thing. But he was awarded or I think he will be. I don't think he's been awarded it yet, but he won. He just hasn't been given it yet. But the Wooden Award for Leadership, I'm not sure who puts that out, where it comes from, who votes on it, anything like that. But he obviously, a big thing to win a leadership award, and named after Coach Wooden. Doesn't get much bigger than that in college basketball. So So yeah, that is about everything. Before I go, I did want to push. I put out a unveiling of the banner video in slow motion, so you can watch that banner being dropped in slow motion, which is great. But on the other YouTube channel that I have, which is UNC Tar Heels highlights, there's a link in the description wherever you're listening or watching this podcast. Go subscribe there, and I'm going to try to get more highlights, of course, as games come up there. Also wanted to push my Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, at AllTarHeelDan. Really been going hard at Instagram over this off season, or as the past month or two. Would love for you to connect with me there, and let me know what you think. In the off season, I've been putting out edited pictures and stuff like that, which has been a lot of fun. But just let me know what you think. I don't know that I'll keep that going during the season as stuff gets busier, but let me know if I should, or what you think of those. So, and of course, if you don't, follow me on Twitter at AllTarHeelDan as well. And yeah, most importantly, just thanks for watching, supporting the podcast, sharing it, give it to your friends, family, any Tar Heel fans that you know. Let them know that it's there, and so we can just keep these numbers rolling, and like really what the mission of the podcast is uniting Tar Heel Nation. So I'm even trying to get a t-shirt. I don't know that I'll sell them because I don't know that there's enough people that would buy them, but at least for me to wear UNC Hoops Talk podcast t-shirt, letting people know that we are uniting Tar Heel Nation one episode at a time. Glad that you're joining in the conversation here. It's just so much fun to talk Tar Heel basketball with you guys, and great outlet here, and I love to get the feedback from you guys as well. But yeah, I've thrown a lot of stuff out there already. Don't want to ramble on anymore. Send in your predictions, share the podcast, and yeah, that's about all I got here. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I will see you guys next week in the predictions podcast, which is always a fun one. I really enjoy that. But see you next week. Go Heels.